They're constantly trying to help other people when they themselves have been so traumatized. I think it's the coolest part about, humanity is even in the darkest moments, people still are good, and they're still trying to help.
Welcome to the One Girl Revolution podcast. It's your girl, Kate, here. This is the place to find inspiring stories of world-changing women and girls every single week. The One Girl Revolution podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and everywhere you listen to podcasts. Please subscribe, listen, and share. You don't want to miss a single episode. Check out our website at onegirlrevolution.com to find all of our over 185 episodes of the podcast. Please listen to all of them and share them. Watch our Emmy-nominated documentaries. Donate to our nonprofit organization to help us continue our critical work to elevate women's voices and their stories, and so much more. Check out onegirlrevolution.com. That's the number onegirlrevolution.com today. On today's episode of the One Girl Revolution podcast, I welcome Jenelle David, president and one of the founders of Phoemale. Phoemale is a nonprofit organization created by and for women. They help those who have overcome domestic violence, sexual assault, human trafficking, and/or homelessness rebuild their lives and, like the phoenix, rise from the ashes. Phoemale helps women take the next step in their journey toward rebuilding their lives. They partner with social service agencies to identify women who have the desire and plan to move forward but lack the resources to do so. Phoemale is unique in that they fill the gaps that other agencies don't. All of their donations go directly to benefit women in need. And at Phoemale, any costs associated with the charity or events or anything else they have going on are paid for by the board members. That means that 100% of the money raised at their events or online or any way that people donate is used directly to help women survivors, which is insane, amazing. They're just amazing. Jenelle and a group of friends started Phoemale to help women in need, and they've helped so many women through this incredible organization. And you'll hear about some of the stories in this episode. You can check out their website, which I will put in the show notes so you can check it out. And like you'll hear in this episode, the idea for Phoemale literally sparked out of a lunch with a few friends who all wanted to do something to make a difference. That spark became an explosion, and that is the power of when women come together. Jenelle also works full-time for Johnson & Johnson and has a family, and she has so much other stuff going on, and she does this in her spare time, which I don't know how she does all of it. I don't know how she has the time to do all of it. And that's the story of all the women who are involved in Phoemale. What I hope that you take away from this episode is that they're an example that we can all do something. Even if you have a full-time job, you can donate your time, your skills, your talent, and your money, obviously, to make a difference. You are going to love this episode, and you're going to love Jenelle and Phoemale. Without further ado, here's my conversation with Jenelle. Jenelle, welcome to the One Girl Revolution podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us on.
I am so excited to have you on to share about Phoemale. You have such an incredible organization created by and for women, and you help those who have overcome domestic violence, sexual assault, human trafficking, and or homelessness rebuild their lives. And like the phoenix, they rise from the ashes. And I love the city of Detroit because it's kind of in the same premise, that our motto is all about, that we can rise from the ashes, just like the city of Detroit. And I really believe that that is a big part of women's lives and their stories. We're so resilient and we have so many stories to tell. But before we go into Phoemale and the great work that you're doing, I would love to hear a little bit about you and your own story. Could you share a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you're from, and just a little bit about your story before you got to Phoemale or before
Sure.
Phoemale started?
Sure. I'm actually the product of immigrants to this country. My parents were both born in Iraq, and they left in the 70s, 1974, and immigrated to the United States to, have more opportunity and religious freedom. And so I was born to some very strong, immigrants who, came to this country, worked very hard, and raised, the three of us. I have an older brother and a younger sister. I grew up in Detroit proper, and eventually moved to the suburbs of Detroit. And then I went to Wayne State University, which is a great university in the city of Detroit. It's not well known because it doesn't have a Division I football team, but it's a great university. Got a business degree there, and then started my career in pharmaceuticals. I currently work for Johnson & Johnson. I'm a key account manager. And I have 2 children. One is 19 and one is 17. And I live in a suburb of Detroit called Grosse Pointe, Michigan. It's a cute little town right outside of Detroit that I love with all of my heart.
It's such a cute community, such a sweet community. And a lot of it's right by the water. So I know a lot of people even that don't live in Grosse Pointe. I myself live in Detroit, and I love to go to Grosse Pointe for like dinner or just like walking. It's such a beautiful community.
Yes. And it's full of a ton of people who are just good people. It's almost like Pleasantville, where, everyone's in your business, which could be a bad thing, but it's usually a good thing. Everyone's looking out for each other and supports each other. So that's why I love it so much. And we'll get to this in a minute, but that was part of the origin story, if you will, for Phoemale.
Yeah. And there are so many world changers in Grosse Pointe, based in Grosse Pointe. And I know that you guys are based there. So how did the idea for Phoemale start? How did it spark?
So there were a ton of sparks, which I think led to an explosion. Like I said, we moved to this little town, and right away, there were just people who were just involved in everyone else's lives, and they were just always ready to help. A ton of volunteers at the schools, in the community, just jumping in. If someone hurt their back and could not move, and they were on bed rest, the community would jump in and do meal trains, and we'd take each other's kids to school, or help with this or that. And one of the sparks that happened was I made a ton of friends here, by the way, and they were just all great. And one of our friends went to a bar, and in walks a woman, from the street, goes up to the bartender, asks for some garbage bags. And the bartender, didn't even flinch, gave her a bunch of bags, and off she went. And so my friend actually asked the bartender what was up with that, what happened there. And he said that pretty much every month, at the end of the month, this woman comes in and asks for garbage bags because she's run out of diapers for her child. And the reason she's run out of diapers for her child is because her then abusive husband would spend all of their money, and they would run out by that point. And so the bartender was always cool and gave her some garbage bags to be able to get to makeshift diapers for her baby. And so she tells us this story, and we're obviously appalled, right? We're like, whoa, this is crazy. And so, like the normal Grosse Pointers that we are, we got on Facebook and got, cases of diapers, donated, Kroger gift cards. That's a local grocery store, all sorts of, things that we could get, other supplies for the baby, et cetera. And, the bartender knew this woman. And so the bartender arranged it to get all these things, to this woman. Well, meeting my friends, for lunch and for, just texting back and forth, beyond that, we were hearing stories of other women who were, being abused either emotionally or physically by their partners, and, and the human trafficking stories that were going on. And, we were talking about this one woman with the diapers, and we're like, the shame of it is that, yeah, she got the diapers, et cetera. But what happens next month? And what happens the month after that? Is there a way that we can help some of these women change the trajectory of their lives so that we can get to the root cause, or at least some of the root causes, and help them, get out of the situation so that we're not constantly putting a Band-Aid on, whatever's happening. And not that Band-Aids are bad, but Band-Aids don't solve the problem. So we're talking, over weeks. And, we met for lunch one day, and we're talking about, okay, so can we find some, are there some charities out there, or are there some organizations out there that can help women like this? So we started doing research and found a ton of great nonprofits out there. Started talking to some of the people who ran them. And, one of the things we found out was that a lot of them do a lot of great work, but they have restricted funds. They get grants. And so the grants restrict them to use their funds in certain defined ways, predefined ways. And so there's not a lot of wiggle room beyond that. And so all of these things culminate to us saying, hey, why don't we start a charity where we can work with some of these social service agencies, get some nominations, look for candidates that we can actually change the trajectory of their lives, women that we knew that we could help, and not recreate the wheel and do other things that other nonprofits are doing, but augment their efforts so that we kind of tag team and together work towards finding solutions and helping these women grow even more than they have already. And so the great part is, we would form a charity that would only have unrestricted funds. So we can do some of the crazy out of the box thinking stuff for, working with some of these other charities. So then we started coming up with these pillars. So A, unrestricted funds. B, we wanted to have a charity that had zero overhead, meaning all volunteers. We wouldn't rent a building. We just, have a mailbox. We would pay, all the board members would pay for any of the costs, paper, printing, any of it. In fact, when we do any events, all of the board members chip in and pay for the event. So that way, because our number one pillar is every single dollar that's donated to Phoemale goes directly to help these women in need. So if you come to a fundraiser and it's $100 a head, that $100 is going to the women. It's not going to be, 60 of it has been spent on decorations and dinner and, band and all that stuff. And so really only $40 is going to help the woman. Every single dollar is going to help the women. If there's any cost, we try to keep them as little as possible, but we, the board members, end up paying for those costs. The second pillar is that we wanted to have charity events or fundraisers that would be fun, because, all of us have been to charity events. I mean, we go to a lot, we get invited to a lot of them per year. And, our one complaint was we wanted all the money to go to the people that we're actually trying to help. Number two is, can we make this fun? Where it's not like a wedding where you don't know anybody and, and like, can we have some out of the box cool ideas? Like one of the first fundraisers we threw was fire and ice. And so we had curling going on. So we had a ice skating rink that we turned into a curling venue. And, we had, music, food. It was more of like a party instead of like an organized event. And then, you're able to raise money. We've done bike and beer, which is where you hop on a bike and you decorate your bike and you go bar hopping in the neighborhood, and it's just fun and, have little games and just a way to like have fun with each other, empower each other, but then also raise money to help other people, because that's what was missing. And I'll get to that in a minute. But our third pillar was we want to purposely stay small. Our goal wasn't to grow, and it still isn't to grow and grow and grow and grow, because then you lose sight of the actual, goal in mind, which is to help these women. Sometimes when you focus on growing, you start changing, what you may be executing every single year. So if we stay small, we can focus on quality versus quantity. I'd rather help 5 women really, really well than help 50 women not well at all. So we're purposely staying small. And then that way also we can keep the overhead down. The bigger you grow, you inherently need more overhead, you need buildings, you need equipment. So all this is purposeful. And, our overall philosophy is, of course we'd like to change the world, and solve all these problems, but we can't. And I think the best way to deal with that is to just start in your corner of the world. Help the people around you. These are your neighbors. And so if you help your little corner of the world, you're also making your corner great. You're helping these women in your corner. And if everybody did that in their own way in all the corners of the world, then I think this world will be a better place. And I think that's actually how you would solve it.
Exactly. And I love so many aspects of that story that you shared. But the first one is such great things happen over lunch or, at a bar over a cocktail, especially when women come together. I love when it's like, hey, we see this need, we want to do something. What can we do? And when women come together, we truly can change the world. This podcast is all about one girl revolutions, one woman who is making a difference in the world. But the reality is, and your organization is a perfect example of that. When women stand together, we can make such a massive impact in our own communities. And that really is the heart. And that's really what's so important. I also love that you're not recreating the wheel. You're working with
other organizations, other, social services, and identifying women and walking with them, not just helping them, buying them a pack of diapers, but actually saying, okay, what are the overarching things that we can help with, and really change the trajectory of their lives. And, when you change the trajectory of a woman's life, you also change the trajectory of a child's life, her children for generations and generations to come.
It's the ripple effect.
The ripple effect, yes.
It also helps to change your life and your perspective.
Yes, exactly.
The 10 of us that are on this board and the community that supports us, or all the people that donate, when you help other people, you're helping yourself too. You're finding some sort of purpose in your life besides, buying a new TV, or, you're stressed about this or that. Sometimes focusing on other people can help you feel better. And then you actually are making a difference in other people's lives.
Yeah, exactly. And life can feel so difficult. We all go through difficult moments, but I'm a firm believer that if you're going through a difficult thing, or you're sitting in the suck, one of my friends calls it sitting in the suck of whatever's going on in your life, pull yourself out of it and go do something kind for someone else. And it will just change your day. It'll change your perspective. Another thing,
makes you thankful and grateful for what you have. I'm so sorry to interrupt.
Oh, no. It's so true.
Because one of the things that I, gleaned over, and then, now I want to come back to, is we were talking when we were having those lunches and the group chats or drinks or whatever it was. We always talked about, okay, what's the difference between some of these women and us? We've had, friends that have had, difficult situations, whether it's domestic violence, sexual assault, et cetera, or even bouts of homelessness. Why? What's the difference between the women that we could help and us? And the biggest difference was that we had a network of support. So if something happens to me, I know that I have a bunch of people's, houses that I can crash at for weeks if I wanted to, or maybe even years. If I needed a loan, if I needed help with finding a job, if I needed help with finding an attorney, our network, is so, I think we have to be more grateful for the people and the things that are in our lives, that built-in support network, that net that catches you when you fall. And I think the difference is that these women sometimes lack that net, or their net isn't as robust as others. And I think, what we decided to do was to not only continue being that net for ourselves with each other, and our general community, but then to now become that net for these women that don't have a net, or the net isn't big enough. And I think that's the key to all of it.
Yeah, building community. We all need community and support. And I think that our lives would look so different if we felt confident. And a lot of times in these situations, women don't feel like they even have one person to turn to. And so if you can create that community, it can just change their life. And also, I love that all of you didn't just quit your day job, or, just give up everything and say, okay, I'm going to found this organization. Yeah. Which is crazy, because you probably have some days where you're like, how am I doing all these different things? But it just is such a great example to everyone who's listening that we can all do something. And sometimes it's not that we get a group of friends together and we found an organization necessarily, but we can all do something to make a difference.
Absolutely. Some of our earlier fundraisers too were, you were having a party anyway. You were having, 20 girls over for whatever. And then, we're like, okay, would you mind if we, did a speech, or, what if this party turned into, hey, here's a fishbowl. If you want to donate money, go ahead, and you raise a couple $100. And that, a couple $100 doesn't sound like much, but you know what? It adds up. And that could be the difference between, having a laptop to finish your studies, or bus tickets, or any of those things. That $200, $500, $1,000 can literally change the trajectory of someone else's life.
Donate to One Girl Revolution's nonprofit organization to help us continue our work, highlighting inspiring women and girls that are changing the world through their lives, promoting their work and their organizations, and building a powerful and positive force out in the world, dedicated to empowering women, their voices, and their stories. Donate at onegirlrevolution.com/donate. That's the number onegirlrevolution.com/donate.
How did you get the idea for the name? Because people who are listening, they're like, oh yeah, Phoemale, but it's spelled differently.
Yeah. So actually, Adrienne, one of our founding board members, she is like a marketing genius. I mean, she's awesome. And so after we decided to start this thing, we, were brainstorming on, what our names should be. And she said, you guys. So we're helping women. They're rising from the ashes. I really like Phoenix. She wanted to do something with that, with the logo. And then we decided to combine Phoenix and Phoemale to become Phoemale. So it's literally a woman rising up from the ashes. And I think it totally encompasses everything that we do.
And it encompasses all of the women that you're working with and supporting. So I know you kind of gave a little bit of an overview about the work that you do, but talk to me about what is Phoemale and what do you do?
There are victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, human trafficking, and homelessness. But then there are survivors of domestic violence, sexual assault, human trafficking, and homelessness. These are women who are brave to, get out of the situations because they're very, very hard to get out of. These are women who have a plan to rebuild their lives. And they've actually done some of the steps to rebuild their lives, getting stable jobs, stable housing, et cetera. But there are some gaps and barriers that are preventing them from getting even further along in taking the steps to rebuild their lives. And so a lot of times these women will go to these social service agencies that, for example, we have several that are shelters. So, let's say you just got out of a domestic violence situation or a sexual assault situation or, human trafficking. These social service agencies will take you in, provide you shelter, and then they actually work with the women for, 6 months, a year, 2 years with programming on, helping them rebuild their lives. So getting your GED, getting a stable job, moving to stable housing, et cetera. Well, like I said before, a lot of times these social service agencies have restricted funds. And so they can only help with so many things. And so situations will come up where, they really believe in the survivor. She's done all the steps. She has a track record of, enduring, and she is ready for the next step, but they don't have the funds to fill in that gap for what she needs. And so what they'll do is they'll fill out this nomination form. It's basically 4 sections, and they submit it to us. And so Beth, our vice president, and I will, go for a first read, and we'll submit any follow-up questions for clarity. Once we realize that it fits all 4 of our criteria, we send it back to the board. The board reviews it. The board asks additional questions for clarification. Then once she's approved, we send it back to the nominator. The nominator, hey, we've approved, the funds for this particular gap, and I'll go through those gaps in a minute. And then so we handle making sure that the survivor gets what she needs. The gaps could be transportation, so she needs a car. The gap could be education. There's some sort of gap in her education. It could be housing. And I'll, if you want to get into stories, we can get into those. And then we ask that, and sometimes the women want to remain anonymous, which I totally get. And so we'll ask the social worker or the nominator to, give us updates on what's happening with her life. And then we also encourage that the nominator, if she's still in contact with the survivor, to, renominate her. We've had a couple, nominations where we've been able to help with 2 steps. And so we would actually love for the women to keep coming back, every year or every couple years with, okay, so I've achieved what I set out to do, and now I want to achieve this. And so how do I get to this step? And so again, the whole goal is to, change her life and her children's lives and all of her loved ones in her life in a meaningful way that will impact her for a lifetime.
I know you mentioned stories. I would love for you to share a story or 2 of women that you have helped through the work that you're doing. I know there's many. There
are 3 that I'd like to share with you, which kind of like at least gives you a rounder picture. The first story is there was a woman who had a domestic violence situation. She left her husband, got divorced. He ended up quitting his job and started working for a family so that he didn't have very much income for her to have very much child support. His child support payments were $13 a month. She had 3 children. Okay. that's one subject. That's not even the worst part. So she had a stable job. She had a car. He had housing. So it's good. But the ex wanted to, continually is emotionally abusive, et cetera, and wanted to ask for full custody for the children because he didn't want to pay his $13 per month. So she's coming to us because she wanted to get, an even better job because that was her first reason that, we were going to help her get a better job so that, she can, help the kids in a more meaningful way financially, especially since, this man wasn't helping out very much at all. So in the job search and, in talking to her and trying to figure out what her goals were, she actually told us that, that he was taking her back to court to get full custody and that she wasn't going to the court. And we said, well, why aren't you going to court? And she said, well, there's a bench warrant out for my arrest. And we're like, whoa, well, why? And she says, well, I have these unpaid traffic tickets that I wasn't able to afford to pay. And so late fees on late fees, piled up. Then there's the suspension, there's fees there. And then there is, not only paying those fees off, but then you'd have to pay a couple $100 to get your license reinstated. So there's a car sitting there. Okay. And she can't use it because she doesn't have a driver's license. And if she did, and she gets, arrested or pulled over, she could be arrested, all of it. And she can't show up to court because she has a bench warrant out for her arrest. She would have been, arrested right there on the spot. So we're like, oh no, this is not going to happen. So obviously, we went to the board and we're like, she has it was about $1,700 in traffic tickets in fees. It was just fees that just pile up and pile up. It actually talks to the, downward spiral that people who don't have money end up, being stuck in. Is I could pay the $200 and I would have 0 points on my record. Other people can't pay for it. They get points that, then you get late fees, your license is gone, long story. So we actually personally took her to the police stations to pay off these fines, got her bench warrant, taken off, made sure she got to court, helped her with getting an attorney to represent her. We found some free legal aid for her. She ended up keeping her half custody with the children, which is great. But more importantly, now she could actually start living her life without this bench warrant over her head. And we were able to secure her an even better job. And now that she actually had reliable transportation and she could actually get in her car, she was able to work those, better jobs and provide a better life for her family. That's one. So, any of these social service agencies or nonprofits out there, there's not a nonprofit that I know of, at least, that you can call or email or whatever and say, I need help with traffic tickets. Can you help me pay my traffic tickets off? Restricted funds, probably you're not going to fit into that category.
Yeah. So
this is a way that was, out of the box, a way that we could tag team with, one of the social service agencies to help her with that part. A second woman, so she was a human trafficking survivor. The reason she got out of human trafficking is because at age 27, she was hit so hard by one of her Johns that her jaw was actually broken. So she goes to the hospital. So one of the social service agencies that we work with, they actually get called to do the forensic examinations when it comes to sexual assault or human trafficking. So that way they can, do a really thorough examination, save all the evidence so that if we're going to prosecute the Johns or if we're going to prosecute the perpetrators of the violence, that, the evidence was taken properly and would stand up in court. So she, they asked her, do you want to get out of the life, which is, the life of human trafficking? She's like, absolutely. Because, I'm not even going to get into, that's a whole other subject, but basically a lot of these women, they're not there voluntarily. They're basically like coerced into becoming, into doing, human trafficking. Anyway, so she wants to get out of the life. They bring her in. She's 27, okay, when she gets out of the life. She gets her GED, goes to community college, goes to Wayne State, which is the university that I go to, or that I went to. All she wants to do is get a bachelor's degree in computer science so that she can get an IT job, because that's what she really loves. And she was working at McDonald's as a manager, and then she was working at an accounting firm to help with tax returns. So she was working 2 jobs, going into school full time. I mean, here she is. So by the time we get to her, she's 35. Okay. So she's about to finish her degree at Wayne State. She's 8 credits short of graduating. She's run out of financial aid. Okay. So here's this woman at 35 is going to, she's totally turning her life around. She's starting from scratch, from brand new. How do we help this woman? So of course we did. So she was nominated and we said, fine, we will pay for your 8 credits, but and she was going to split it. I think it was, 4 and 3, or, it was over 2 semesters. We said, we'll pay for your first semester. If you have a GPA of above 3.0, we'll pay for your second semester, and so that way we had some check-ins. And so we ended up paying for the credit. She, of course, got more than a 3.0 because she's actually a very smart cookie. And guess what? She landed a full-time job with benefits, an actual career. That changes your life, right? So that's a cool story. So again, the nonprofits that she was working with helped her so much. They did incredible work to get her to where she was. But when you're out of financial aid, you're out of financial aid. There was only so much that they could do. So we jumped in and augmented. Let's tag team and work on this together. And she's, better for it. Last one that's really quick is we had a woman that was nominated to us. Again, she had a job, she had housing, but she was with her boyfriend in this housing, and this boyfriend was abusive. She wanted to get out of the situation, but the problem is both of them were on the lease. Both of their names are on the lease, and it was Section 8 housing. And with Section 8 housing, she wanted to leave him, and he threatened that if she left him, that he would stop paying the rent. And what happens is with Section 8 housing, if you stop paying the rent, you're actually technically can be evicted. And once you're evicted, you're not qualified to get Section 8 housing for yourself in the future. So she was afraid to leave him because how could she afford moving out and getting into a new place? So how about that? She was literally being held hostage there. So what we did was we called the landlord and explained the situation. We said, look, they're obviously behind. Let us pay you up to date and a little bit more, but get her off the lease because she wants to leave him and go into another place. And so he agreed. So we paid up. And then not only did we do that, but we also paid for the deposit for the new place because, listen, when you're making $17 an hour, which is, by the way, great nowadays, like people are making $10 an hour, but even if you're making $17 an hour, you can't, for you to save up $1,000 or $2,000 for a deposit, it's usually first month and last month or whatever it may be. It's how are you going to save $1,000 or $2,000? People don't have that cash. So we did that. And so we were able to get her out of that situation into her own place. And guess what? She paid for the bills the rest of the time because she could afford it. She had a job and she didn't have this man, this, partner who was beating her and, emotionally abusing her as well, which is not good for anybody. So we were able to get her out of that situation.
There are so many instances, and all 3 of those stories are just reflective. There are so many instances where women are literally digging themselves out of whatever hole they're in, whatever difficult thing that they're going through. But then even that, they still need that support. They still need that community. And as you're telling these stories, I'm like, you are the army. Phoemale is the army that I want on my side if I'm ever going through something difficult. Because it's like, hey, what do you need? Do you need me let me make a couple phone calls? Let me know. And the reality is we all know people too. We all know people who know people. Yeah. So it's like, we all know people that could be legal support for something. And, I even in my own family and in my own community have had different experiences recently with domestic violence or situations where people are stuck in situations or somebody's name isn't on the lease, like you shared. And we don't always think about that. We live in our own little silo. Oh, this happy little life. We deal with our own stuff. But so many people are dealing with these really difficult situations on a day-to-day basis. And sometimes it just takes a group of women or even one person to just say, hey, let me step in, let me help you, let me make a couple of phone calls and let's see what we can do.
Absolutely. And then I don't know if you saw on our website, we have something called House into a Home.
Yes, I wanted to ask you about that. Yeah. Tell me about House into a Home.
So we get these nominations, right? And, there's, what's the gap? What's the problem. And we started getting nominations that, the gap was, they had a house, they owned a house, but there was, it was in such disrepair that it was almost unlivable. So our most recent example of house into a home, we had a woman who had a job. She owned this house. So he's the father of her children. He was, physically, beating her, so she has him arrested. In the time between the actual court date and him being arrested, he was able to be out in the community. Well, he went back to the house and tried to get back in, and she wouldn't let him back in, and she wouldn't take him back. So he started breaking every single window in the house. There are 5 children, okay? Breaking all the windows. And then, so she would leave, when he'd get violence, she'd take the kids and go to a friend's house or else, and then he'd find her there and then vandalize their cars or their houses. So this was going on and on and on. It was terrible. Well, she finally had to leave for a couple weeks because he was just, he just kept coming back. And he finally gets, the court date happens. He's in jail, got 10 years. Great. She goes to move back to her house, her own house. Okay. Well, squatters had moved in. And the squatters ripped all of the copper piping out. Okay. And just vandalized the place. So she moves back in with the kids. And it was in the middle of winter. They all live in one bedroom because she had a space heater because the heater wasn't working either. And the cold air is coming in from the windows. So they're all huddled up in one room because the house isn't getting warm. And one working bathroom, the roof was leaking in. So this is happening now during COVID. So every time it rains, the roof would leak in, and it would leak into the house. And then even in the first story, you would look up in the living room, and there's plaster missing because there's a hole now where the rain would actually come in. So there were 5 kids doing Zoom learning. Remember that? And she's working full time, and so they'd all bring out the buckets when it rained, and so they're trying to do Zoom in a house that is really not functioning. Okay. And so we stepped in. So first of all, we need to get that roof fixed. And by the way, getting someone to come out to fix a roof in Detroit, let alone during COVID, for a reasonable cost was like impossible. It was impossible. So because we have a good network, we got on Facebook and said, hey, we need a roofer. We need someone who can do it now. We're going to pay. We're not looking for anything free. But we need it done like now because this is what's happening to these kids. Within a week, we had someone come out, and we had a bunch of different people, but we had one guy that came out and said, my sister died of domestic violence. So his own sister, the roofer, the owner of the company, his sister's husband beat her to death. Okay. Wow. So this was very, very close to his heart. He's like, I will be there this week. So came there, fixed the roof. That was number one. And number 2 is the 4 boys. Yeah, the 4 boys upstairs there was a 1 bedroom upstairs, and then there's an attic. So the 4 boys are sharing the bedroom upstairs. Their mattresses are they need new mattresses. The beds are broken. And the attic, before the roof was done, when you went into the attic, you could actually see the sky because there was no roof above it. So the wood slats, you could see sky. It was crazy. And obviously this thing was unusable. So we actually finished out that. So once the roof was done, we finished out the attic and actually created a den, a study room for the children. So we had 5 workstations. We got desks. We finished it out. There's floor and plugs and drywall, paint. Got some cool desks and tables, and finished out their bedroom. Got bunk beds with brand new mattresses, brand new bedding, painted the whole inside of the house, fixed the plumbing, added a washer and dryer. By the way, she had 5 children, no washer and dryer because they were stolen and the pipes downstairs were stolen. So we had to have new pipes put in, new washer and dryer. So we got the place functional and awesome. And if you go to our website, you can actually see the before and afters. It's amazing what a little paint and the best part is we had all volunteers coming over several weeks, with painting, with doing this. We had several contractors that donated their time and materials to actually help with a lot of the things. We had an Amazon wish list that went out to the community. That's where all the bedding, the mattresses, we got the kids new clothes. We got laptop. They had headsets. It was cool. Everybody jumped in to help these women. So it's not just us, the board members, it's the community that we reach out to. And this house turned out to be fantastic. So when the kids, came in for the final, reveal, because they actually left we actually paid for them to be in a hotel for a weekend, like while we finished the main stuff. So when they came back in, they were like, oh my God, they were so excited about school because they actually had like a work desk, and they had their headphones and they had all the stuff. They were hugging everybody. They loved their beds. They actually had clean beds. Everyone's crying. And, now they actually, and then one of the boys, the oldest one, he actually was applying to a special charter school where you had to have a certain, grades, you had to be interviewed, et cetera, to get into this, special, he got into the school. I mean, it was great. Like everyone was so happy. And then they finally had a house that was warm, safe, and functional.
And so you've continued to do that, right? It's like an annual project.
It's every year. We haven't had, so we don't, so we'd like to do it every year, but we haven't done it in the past year and a half because until we have a nomination that fits, then we'll do it. But we don't want to say we're going to do House and Home this year because I don't want to just, we don't want to just do a project to do a project. We want the right candidate, the right nominee, who fits that criteria. So as soon as we have someone who fits that criteria, who their need or their gap is, something they're housing, then we'll do it again. We just, for the first 3 years we started doing it, those are the 3 years of nominations. We're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, that story is so incredible. And I will put in our show notes, I'll put the link so people can see the before and after photos really cool. of the house. It's incredible. And just how much that just affects their daily life too. I'm thinking about these kids. Like I think about when I come back from whatever, a long day at work or come back from traveling or something, how nice it is just to have a cozy, warm, like clean bed. And so for these kids, just to have that and have everything that they need.
Okay, you remember COVID? Imagine having a washer and dryer.
Right.
And you have 5 kids.
Crazy. It's crazy. And so you really have taken, this grief and turned it into glory in their story. And I think that it's so incredible and so inspiring. And there are so many misconceptions too about all the different populations that you're serving: domestic violence, sexual assault, human trafficking, homelessness. We all think, oh, that doesn't happen that couldn't happen to me. That doesn't happen in my family or in my friend group. And the reality is it's happening everywhere. And we just don't know, right? That I'm sure that mom and her kids, a lot of people that saw her walking around might not have even picked up on it because we're very good at hiding what we're going through. Mm-hmm. And so you're really just meeting people where they're at and serving them. It's incredible.
Watch In Tandem on One Girl Revolution's website or on our YouTube page. In Tandem is the inspiring story of Caitlin Cullen and her restaurant in Milwaukee, The Tandem. The Tandem does more than just serve food. The Tandem is a family, a community of support for everyone. The Tandem hires people that often no one else will hire, gives them an opportunity, trains them, and helps them find their way in this world. The Tandem is a support system for everyone who walks through their doors. But when COVID hit in March 2020, the Tandem story became even more inspiring. The Tandem closed their doors to customers and began solely feeding people in need during a time when so many people were struggling. Caitlin and the Tandem community fed over 115,000 people during the first year of the pandemic. Absolutely incredible. Watch and share In Tandem today on our website at onegirlrevolution.com.
So where do you go from here? I know that Phoemale has grown and evolved. I know that you mentioned before that your mission or your goal is not to grow and become this massive organization, but where do you hope that Phoemale goes over the next 5 or 10 years? And what is the impact that you hope that this organization can make?
There's 2 aspects of it. One is we'd like to continue with our current size, but get even better at our nomination process, finding more partners to partner with. I'd like to have a bigger pool to choose from when it comes to nominees. So continuing to find more and more partner agencies where we get the nominations from. I mean, we'd love to help as many people as possible. We're not trying to save all the money. We'd like to spend all the money that we have as soon as we have it. So that's number one. Number two is I've always had this, dream that maybe we'd inspire people, and maybe because of your podcast, we can inspire some people to do the same in their own corner. My greatest wish would be that someone starts a female, it doesn't have to be called female, but starts a female organization in their corner of the world, kind of like we talked about in the beginning. It would be great if there was one that popped up in LA and New York and Texas, or, wherever, or internationally, all over the place. Every single one of us can create a small group. It doesn't have to be, it's not too complicated. Small group, even if it's not a formal organization, but maybe a group of friends that just intentionally goes out there and tries to find people to help. And I think if all of us did that, if we started a bunch of little females all over the place, I think this world would be so much better off.
It would. And it starts so small. It doesn't have to be a big thing. Like you mentioned, even if you know somebody who's struggling or a family that's struggling, start an Amazon wish list, like you mentioned. And you never even have to drop anything off. You can just encourage your friends and family to buy off of that, or schools or other community efforts that are going on, other organizations. Find out what organizations need or what the community needs.
Let's say you're working for a company that is hiring, post that on Facebook, or, that there's someone struggling maybe. And, reach out to them personally, help them with their resume, get them connected, get them an interview, help coach them with that interview. That's the way to change the trajectory of someone's life, help each other.
And we all have gifts and talents, right? Like some people are good at even resume writing, or some people are good at shopping. Take somebody shop. If that's what you love to do, use your time and talent. That can be just as important even as your money. And, you can make such a big impact through it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Jenelle, if you could get to the very root of why I'm talking about you, not the female community, but why you do what you do, why you do Phoemale, what's the driving force or the root of why you do what you do?
I've tried to, analyze myself for years and years and years. And I've come to the conclusion that I'm one of those weirdos who is a driver and a fixer. I can't sit back and hear of someone else being in pain and not want to jump in and help. And then, there's a way to do that well, right? And a way to do that better. And so over the years, I think I've learned how to do that in a better way. And I found a lot of people who are like-minded. And I found that it's less overwhelming when you do it with other people. So when all of you chip in, you can still have a career, you can still have your family, you can still do all the things in your community, but you can still help other people. But for me, I can't just sit back and see someone in pain and they have a problem that's really so not easily solved, but simply solved, I guess. I'm probably not using the right words for that. How can you sit back and let people, suffer if you knew that you could help in a small or a big way? So I think that's what it is. I sleep very well at night knowing that I'm trying my best. I'm probably not, for sure I'm not perfect, but at least I'm trying. And then I'm trying to get other people to try too. And I think that's the meaning of life.
Yeah. And it's one step at a time. And I think different chapters of life, sometimes we don't have some chapters of life, we don't have time, or some chapters we don't have money. Yeah. So I think it's also people reflecting on what do you have the ability to do right now? And maybe it's just writing a $25 check to support the work that you're doing, or maybe it's buying something off of an Amazon wish list, or maybe it's doing more. And I think we can always be doing more and always be pushing ourselves to do more. Jenelle, I know that you're dealing with a lot of really difficult, heartbreaking situations, even the ones that you shared before. What is it that gives you hope, or what kind of keeps you going? Maybe it's these stories and remembering, even on the difficult days where you're stressed out with work and stressed out with everything going on with Phoemale and family and all the different things that are being thrown at you. But what gives you hope in the world today?
I'm utterly amazed and fascinated that we as a human species are so resilient and more resilient than we can even imagine. When you hear some of these stories, you're like, how did you survive that? And then not only did you survive, you end up thriving. So these women are absolutely amazing. They're survivors and are literally my heroes. And it actually makes me less stressful about my life, because when the problems occur in my life, which all of us have plenty of problems, you almost say to yourself, this is not going to break me. Or, my gosh, it could have been a lot worse. But that's what gives me hope, is that, man, people are put through the ringer and then still end up getting out there, waking up, smiling, and doing more. And then, by the way, a lot of our survivors end up helping other people too. They're the ones who, they'll go back and volunteer. They'll share our social media posts. They'll show up and volunteer. Can I do a speech to help inspire? They're constantly trying to help other people when they themselves have been so traumatized. I think it's the coolest part about, humanity is, even in the darkest moments, people still are good, and they're still trying to help.
We've covered so many different stories here at One Girl Revolution, and just continue to. And those stories of resilience are the things that, like you, for me, it just opens my eyes and saying, oh, I am strong. I'm stronger. I can deal with this, even on difficult days. Look at this person, they've overcome this. And I love those stories too, where women have overcome addiction or human trafficking or whatever they're going through, domestic violence, some of the homelessness, some of the things that we've talked about on this podcast. But then they go on to help other people and they say, hey, I was there. I know what it feels like. And they're able to help the people in their own, coming from a similar background, in a way that I never can, in a way that you never can. And so I love those stories too, where it's almost like a ripple effect. Like we help one person and then they can help other people, and it just goes on and on and on.
And it also shows you that you're unbreakable too. You will get through it. You will. And then you could be even better, when you get beyond it.
Yes. Well, I can't wait to see where Phoemale goes from here and continue to follow the work that you're doing. But how can people support the work that you're doing? And then how can people emulate it? I know that you shared that you hope to see more Phoemales pop up all across the country or around the world. But what can people do to support the work that you're doing? And then what can they do to emulate your work?
Sure. So you can go to our website, phoemale.org, PHOEMALE.org. There'll be a link set up on the podcast. And, press the donate button. Even if you want to donate $1 or $20, believe it or not, it all adds up. And every single dollar, like I said, is going to go directly to help these women that we talked about today and the women in the future. Zero of it will be used for overhead. So that's the simplest and easiest way. And your money will be used this year to help the women. If you're interested in starting, a Phoemale around the world, we have on the website, there's a contact form. Feel free to send an email, and, I'd be happy to chat, to tell you, how we started our chapter, but, and I can help with ideas or inspiration if you wanted to start your own version of a charity, in your part of the world. But we're always open. My mission is to help other people, right? So I always want to jump in and help where I could if other people wanted to help. So that's the easiest way. Or, a small step is find a local charity in your neighborhood. Volunteer there. See the people that are being helped. Maybe your perspective will be different. Maybe you see something that other people don't. Maybe you'll come up with an idea and then share it back on One Girl Revolution. And then we can all copy your idea, and it'll be great.
I always say that the free and easy way too for people to support anything that we highlight on this, any organization, any person that's been on this podcast, is just to follow on social media. So I will be sure to post your website and all your social media links so people can follow everything that you're doing, and we can all share that stuff too. So maybe, you want to share the work of Phoemale on your social media just to help spread the message and spread the work and help grow the organization and the outreach. So I will encourage everybody to do that. But Jenelle, you are such a one girl revolution. And that's why I wanted to have you.
Not one girl, it's a group of girls.
It is a group of girls. I know you are a one girl revolution, and all the women who are a part of Phoemale, and all the women in so many different ways, even the women who have donated, and, you know, anybody who's been, I really believe that every single human person, we have a purpose and we have a mission, and we're as unique as our fingerprint. And
Kate, thank you to you, because it's people like you that are highlighting organizations like ours, you know, around the world, and helping, you know, get the help where it's needed, and sharing the story. So thank you, because, you know, you're a one girl revolution too.
Well, I'm just trying to be like you, Jenelle. I'm trying to be like all the women who are on the podcast. But I'm so curious, who is a one girl revolution in your life? Who's a woman or girl that inspires you?
Okay, I've been blessed to have a ton, starting with my mother, number one. I mean, she is just a girl boss. I mean, you know, from when I was little, she was just a strong leader, you know, a community activist, you know, volunteer, you know, helped other people. So I learned from the best. And then there were my aunts. And then honestly, I had a ton of teachers, Kate. I mean, throughout, I can name them all, like over a dozen that I've had, you know, and bosses that I've had in school or, you know, in my career, who were just amazing. And I learned so many things from them. Some of my teachers I still talk to this day. We still, you know, keep in touch and have lunch every now and then, because they were so inspirational to me and helped build, you know, some of my, you know, thought processes, and, you know, have been so inspirational to me. And I learned from the best. And I was lucky enough and blessed enough to have these women in my life. And I'll hope to continue to stay in touch with them. And, you know, maybe I'll be one of those adults that, you know, inspired a child or a younger woman or a woman who's my peer. You know, I hope that I'll be that as well, you know, to kind of keep paying it forward, and kind of inspiring and pushing and empowering each other.
I think you are doing that, and all the women who are a part of Phoemale are doing that, are being beacons of light and hope to so many out there. And I just, again, can't wait to continue to follow. But before I let you go, this podcast is all about women and stories, and, you know, bringing women together, focused on our commonality as women and girls. If you could leave women and girls around the world with one message, what would it be?
Hype other women. Period.
It's so simple and so important. And like, you are such an example of that, and Phoemale is such an example of that. But Jenelle, I can't wait to continue to follow everything that you're doing. One Girl Evolution, we will support everything that you're doing in any way that we can for hopefully months and years to come. But thank you so much for being on the One Girl Revolution podcast. And thank you for all the incredible work that you do.
Thank you, Kate. And thank you to everybody who's listening, and hope to see or talk to you soon.
Please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at One Girl Revo. That's the number one girl REVO. And you can find more information on One Girl Revolution at onegirlrevolution.com. That's the number one girlrevolution.com.